Most of us use food as a state changer. We're having a bad day. Our energy is low. We can't quite think straight. So I'm going to eat food. Dinner tends to be the meal we spend the most time preparing, the most time eating. If you're at work, you're going to come home and be like, I'm not eating. And right now I'm hangry. I don't feel great. I'm not eating. In my Reset Academy for years, I've said that we use a 3-day water fast, not only to reset ourselves, but to have a self-discovery about what needs our attention. So the example that I've used over the years is that I used a 3-day water fast to heal an Achilles tendon injury. And I tried everything to be able to do that. And I went into this 3-day water fast. On the fourth, I actually continued it on 5 days. On the fourth day or the third day, at the end of the third day, I started to get a little buzz in my Achilles tendon, and I could feel the healing happening in that area. By the fifth day, the pain was gone. The pain has never come back. So these symptoms become like a guide for us to understand what we need to put our attention on. So take note, don't get mad at those symptoms. Other thing that I want you to really take note of is your mind chatter. So I'll give you an example. I'm really the most unlikely person to be teaching fasting because I was the hangry person. I carried around with me before I found fasting. I carried snacks with me everywhere I went. If I didn't feel well, I ate. I was raised, and not for my mom, no, to diss my mom, but she taught me, if you're having a bad day, eat some food. It's a state changer. So I had this really, what I would consider a dysfunctional relationship with food, but I looked at food as a state changer. This part is really important for all of you. We all, if you're really honest, I would say most of us use food as a state changer. We're having a bad day. Our energy is low. We can't quite think straight. I got to do something to change this place I'm in. So I'm going to eat food to be able to change the course of what my mind is saying to me right now. Now, when I came to fasting, that was really hard because the first time I started to fast, when I was feeling low, maybe a little depressed, when I was feeling like I couldn't, I needed something to break up the monotony of the day, or I was feeling a little bit of dip in energy, I didn't have food as that resource anymore. But what I learned in that was a whole other set of tools that there is no way I would have found if I hadn't put myself in that fasted state. I learned, oh my gosh, you know what else changes my state is if I go for a walk. If I get out in the sun, I go for a 10-minute walk, all of a sudden my brain changes. I also learned, oh my gosh, if I put good music on, or I call a friend, or I take a nap, there's a lot of you are going to want to just take a nap. And I found a whole nother set of tools that I could use to change the mental chatter. I want you to really observe, what is my body saying to me? Because that might give me some indication as to what I need to focus on for healing. But what are my thoughts? And typically what they say on the day before, or some of you have jumped in, is that they will say, the thoughts will be like, what are you doing? Why'd you sign up for this? Is this safe? Oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Am I capable of doing this? There's going to be a lot of mind chatter. And the first day, you're going to be excited and like, okay, here we go. This is going to be good. And then maybe by the noon, the first day, when you skip lunch, you might be like, okay, I got this. This isn't bad. And then you get to dinner and you're like, oh, whoa, this is harder than I thought. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 3 days. And then you wake up the next morning and the brain's like still talking to you and trying to steer you off course. Take note of what your mind is saying to you. For me, when I first started doing a 3-day water fast, that's when I got a hold of, oh my God, and this is full transparency. I was raised in a very loving household where if I was having a bad day, I had this loving mother that made me a meal, and she would sit down and she would eat the meal with me. And now I had equated food with that unconditional mother's love. And as wonderful as that was, I wanted to change my relationship to food. I didn't want to see food as a source of love. It's a source of healing that can happen. And we'll talk about that at the later part of the week. But I didn't want to have this emotional attachment to food. And the only way I discovered that was by putting myself into a fasted state and listening to the mind chatter. And there was all kinds of things that first day. It was like, you're going to lose energy. You can't do this. You're hypoglycemic, because that's what the messaging I had was, I'm a hypoglycemic person that gets hangry without food. And that's in my genetics. And so I had an opportunity to really undo those negative beliefs that I had around food. So you have that opportunity too. So make sure that you're not just dismissing the thoughts that are going to come up over the next couple of days, but that you're using them as an opportunity to get to know your body, your limiting beliefs, and get to know really what the relationship to food is for you. So massively important. Now, when we look at what happens over 3 days, I'm going to give you a general idea. And everybody's different. I almost don't want to give you this idea because I don't want you to think, I don't want any placebo effect. I don't want you to think this is going to happen to you, because everybody is different. So please know that. But the general way that a 3-day water fast works is that you come out of the gates the first day and you're excited. Just like I said, and if you fasted before, intermittent fasted before, you're like, this isn't as hard as I thought it would be. Usually by the time you get to dinner that first night, that's where the mental chatter kicks in, because dinner tends to be the meal we spend the most time preparing, the most time eating. If you're at work, you're going to come home and be like, I'm not eating. And right now I'm hangry. I don't feel great. I'm not eating. So the first pivotal moment will be dinner on the first day that you are going to skip. So a couple of thoughts if that happens to you. First, watch a show, watch a movie. I'll tell you what I've gotten really into is listening to comedians at night. I feel like it's a beautiful state changer to just laugh and get your mind off the day. And in a fasted state, it's even better, because if you're laughing, you're increasing oxytocin. If you're increasing oxytocin, you bring cortisol down and you make yourself more insulin sensitive. So if you get to dinner tomorrow night and you're suffering, put a comedian on, put a show on, get your mind off of it. The other thing that I've noticed is that I often go to bed a whole lot earlier. So it's okay to go to sleep and just get your head out of the game. And no, I want you to sort of separate that part out of you that's chattering at you and maybe telling you, how are you going to do this? If you feel like this on the first day, how are you going to be able to make it 2 or 3 days? So if that shows up, I want you to put that little thought in a bubble and pull it out of you, because here's what you need to know. Your body knows exactly what to do. This is not a game of doubt the body. This is a game of pull the mindset and the mind chatter out so the body can do what it's meant to do. That's what I tried to explain in Fast Like a Girl, is that when we put ourselves in these healing states, We are honoring the intelligence of the body, and your body has got this.
Okay, have you been watching my videos and you're like, I don't know how to put this stuff all together? You might need my fasting lifestyle free course. I'll teach you exactly how to do it. Just click on the link above, it'll take it to you, and it's absolutely free. My gift to you.
So another phrase you may say is, my body's got this. I trust you. What an incredible reconnection to this home you get to carry around with you all day long, where you get to say to your body, I trust you. How many times do we walk around in a day and not trust our bodies? So when we hit that first day and the negative thoughts come up around dinner, have a go-to statement. You've got this. I trust you. I'm so excited to watch all the healing you're going to perform. Say positive things to yourself and go to sleep. Sleeping is phenomenal to do because now you're healing when you're sleeping, you're healing when you're fasting. It's a beautiful combination. Now, this is what happens at night in a fasted state. You have two fuel sources for the brain. You have glucose, which is a fancy term for sugar, and you have ketones. So your brain needs both of those. When you are sleeping, your brain is healing and your brain is figuring out how to get all the organs in your body to heal. This is the captain of the ship. So in order to keep your brain working at its best, you've got these ketones that maybe you've never experienced before. So that's going to heal the brain. But somewhere around 2 to 3 in the morning, usually the body will release stored sugar. We call that glycogen. And so glycogen is sugar that your body has packed away, and it has packed it away in 3 areas. It has put it in fat. So you start to burn fat. It has put it in the liver and it has put it in muscles. So as you're sleeping, your body, as it senses the blood sugar going down, it senses that you've switched over into this fat burning place. It starts to access the glucose that it has stored years ago. For those of you that are looking to lose weight, this is where it's magic. Because the body goes and finds that in the fat, it knows how to go get it and burn it because it's so intelligent. So if you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and you're hungry, again, remind yourself, hey, body, go find what you stored years ago. I know you got this. Again, there's constant self-talk of letting your body know it's got this. What many of you are going to figure out is when you wake up on that second day, the hunger is gone. This happens so much where you go to bed hungry, you wake up not hungry because the body regulated your metabolic switch at night. And you'll have that sort of fresh perspective on day 2. So as you go along day 2, the morning time may be okay. And you might start to get a burst of mental clarity from those ketones. You might see that the ketones have shut off that hunger hormone. You might have a sense of optimism on the morning of the second day. And then as the afternoon of the second day goes on, that can be the most difficult moment. So when you get to the afternoon of the second day, I want you to have a tool set and be prepared for that. And then move into one of those state changers, go for a walk, laugh somehow, get your mind off of it because your body knows what to do. I find if you can get over that second day hurdle, the third day is where the magic happens. So I just want to walk you through this thought. If you get to the end of the first day and you're like, oh, I'm suffering now. How am I going to be able to do this 3 days? I want you to know the next morning you're going to wake up and you're going to have a new perspective. I promise you. Then when you get to that second day, when you're like, oh, I don't know if I can continue to do this, I want you to know that the third day is the day that everything gets easier. And it's the third day where the stem cells kick in. And when stem cells kick in, they repair the body. And I don't want you to miss that. So getting to that third day is massively important to get those stem cells. People right now are paying $10,000 to $20,000 for an injection of stem cells into their body. You're going to get it on that third day for free. So if you can get past the second day, afternoon, evening, you're coming down the home stretch to the third day. Typically what happens on the third day is you wake up and you go, oh my God, I did it. I just have to get to tonight where I'm going to break my fast. And so there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So know that if you hit any point along the 3 days where you're like, I'm not doing well now, what's going to happen 12 hours from now? It changes. The experience changes. So just because you may be hangry at 2:00 on the second day doesn't mean you're going to be hangry at 7 a.m. on the third day. It changes because your body knows how to regulate itself in the fasted state.
You want to dive into autophagy more? I have a great video called The Best Way to Extend a Fast and Boost Autophagy. So go check out that video. Once you click into this fasted state, somewhere in between 8 to 12 hours, now the trick is, how do we stay there longer?